What's going on, guys, and welcome to today's video. And today I'm going to show you how to install Jeep Wrangler or Jeep Gladiator shocks on your WJ. And you might be going, well, why would I want to install Jeep Wrangler or Jeep Gladiator shocks on my WJ? And that's because you can get them dirt cheap on Facebook Marketplace. If you're new to the channel, I put together a lot of WJs. This is actually my 15th Jeep Grand Cherokee that I've saved from, imminent demise to the salvage yard to returning to earth down into, someone's backyard. This one actually got drug out of a field or someone's backyard field thing that had been sitting for over a year or so. So that's why I always end up finding, hopefully, super cheap shocks on Facebook Marketplace. Now, every single one of these, I put a 2-inch spacer lift on. Now, if you're stock height, this isn't really going to work for you because these shocks are going to be too long. If you've got at least a 2-inch lift, you're gonna be working really well with this setup. So let's talk about the rear first, and then we can move up to the front. So on the rear of a WJ, we have a eyelet on either end of our shock. And again, with just a standard 2-inch lift, I have found that the front shocks from a Jeep Wrangler JL or Jeep Gladiator JT work way good on the back, again with a 2-inch spacer lift. They are roughly 2 inches longer than a stock WJ rear shock. Again, we are talking about the front shock of 2018 and up Jeep Wrangler or Gladiator, which is like 20 and up for those. Now, what does it take to bolt these onto the rear of a Jeep Grand Cherokee? Too many Jeeps going on here. We need to basically shave down or thin this bushing down top and bottom because the bushings are way too wide. Now, what I'll normally do is grab a set of digital mics or a tape measure or whatever and measure that existing width or that area that is on the back of that Grand Cherokee. Take it to my new shocks here, mark them, and then take a cutoff wheel and cut off those sleeves to make them the right width. So as you guys can see, we obviously already have a rear bolted on, but again, what we were talking about here is this gap in between the shock mounting area, taking those micrometers, measuring that width, that distance, and then knowing we need to narrow the bushing on the new shock. Again, taking that measurement to our shock bushings and cutting, narrowing, grinding, whatever you've got there to narrow up those sleeves. Now, it does take a little bit here on the bottom of narrowing to get it to fit nicely into the existing lower mount. But once you've got the upper bushing narrowed and that lower bushing narrowed, they literally bolt on with the factory bolts into the factory mounts like it is supposed to be. Like I said, this is the front shock for one of those bolted onto the rear with that 2-inch spacer lift, and they work really darn well. This is even the cool Fox Rubicon shocks. You do not need these. They're just cool if you can find them, again, cheaply. And guys, normally you can find them cheaply because nobody is putting stock parts back onto Jeep Wranglers. Now, yes, some people might be putting the cool Fox shocks onto their base model Wrangler, but for the most part, all these parts are going to be sitting for weeks and weeks and weeks and months on Facebook Marketplace. You can normally message them and say, hey, I'll give you $100 for the set of shocks or whatever, and get yourself a very cheap quality set of shocks. Now, all of these JK and JL and JT shocks are a lot fatter body diameter shocks than these old WJs ever came with. So we've got a lot more dampening there. We've got a lot more, shock power, if you will, with these larger body modern day shocks. Now, I will say the rear shock for Gladiator and Wrangler is a little bit longer, and that I've found does work if you are running a 4-inch lift or so on a WJ. But again, talking here about the 2-inch lift and that front shock. Now, again, it does not need to be the cool Fox ones. You can get even the base sport shocks are going to be just a black body shock, but they're going to be new. They're going to work really well, and they're going to be dirt cheap because absolutely nobody wants them except for us WJ folks. So again, that is kind of what we're looking for there on the rear. You're going to need something to cut. I use a 4.5-inch Milwaukee grinder that I've got a cutoff wheel blade for. You can zing through them pretty quickly if you chuck that shock up in a vise. It makes very quick work. So that's the rear. Obviously, you can see it installed. Now onto the front, it is a little bit more of a project, but not really. We just need one more aftermarket part and a front Jeep Wrangler JK shock fits. So why do we need a JK shock? A JK Wrangler is 2007 through 2018. They were the previous body style to the current body style Wranglers that are out there on the road. But the very important part about those is they are an upper stud style shock, which is of course what a WJ requires. Now, one of the cool things is, again, potentially finding yourself a set of the red body Rubicon monotube shocks. Now, even if you can't find those, like I previously said, the base sport black shocks are going to be 20 years newer than what we're pulling off an old tired WJ. And in this case, this thing has a set of absolutely teeny tiny blue body Monroe shocks that do absolutely nothing, that have no dampening. They're just garbage shocks, even brand new. So after you have secured yourself a set of front Jeep Wrangler JK front shocks, hopefully with our bushings in place, hopefully with the hardware, we are going to need, again, one more part, and that is a set of front shock bar pin eliminators. Now, bar pin eliminators, again, remove or eliminate the bar pin that is found on Jeep Wrangler TJ and WJ front shocks. Now, we are not eliminating a bar pin, but we are basically adding the mount that works for a eyelet shock that will convert it to bolt onto the front of our WJ. Now, these bar pin eliminators, I found these on eBay for $24 for the pair, free shipping. So we're still not even spending big money, pending we can find ourselves a set of cheap shocks, lowball the guy, because these things have been on Facebook Marketplace for months and months and months because absolutely no one wants them. So we're in for some cheap shocks and again, some $25 bar pin eliminators, and we're gonna be able to bolt these directly onto the front of the WJ with no cutting, no grinding, no nothing. So let's get the camera down there. I'll show you the process and how quick and easy it really is. So guys, first things first, I'm up here in the engine bay. I'm going to take our top nut off. Now, yes, these are normally absolutely rusty and horrible to take apart. These shocks, again, have been replaced sometime in the past, so they luckily came apart nicely. We'll get our lower bolts off so we can get this horribly garbage blue body Monroe shock out of the way. Now we are going to go ahead and pre-assemble our lower bar pin eliminator. Again, these things fit really nicely onto these Rubicon JK shocks. We'll get our hardware through here. And now we are ready to get this shock up into place. Now guys, if I didn't already mention, these stock front JK shocks with the bar pin eliminators seem to work really, really well lengthwise for, again, a 2-inch lift on a WJ. Now you could probably make them work with 3-inch or so, but at a 4-inch lift, you're probably kind of running out of shock length on your down travel with at least the stock shocks. And now last but not least, we'll get our upper bushing, washer, and nut tightened up. Now, here is our final product with that JK front shock bolted into a WJ with like literally zero modification. We even have our cool $25 front lower shock bar pin eliminator that just works so insanely well here for this combination of install. It's kind of like it was meant to be. So guys, if you have been thinking about a 2-inch lift for your WJ, or you've already got a 2-inch lift and haven't bought the expensive, cool Bilstein, Fox, whatever shocks, now you've got another option to start scouring your local Facebook marketplace for is, again, those JK front shocks, and again, those JL or JT rear or front shocks that are going on the rear of a WJ. Again, the whole point of this is a budget build, a budget option for us WJ folks. Or like me, who's putting together multiple of these things, I can't be buying $400 worth of shocks for every single one of them because that's gonna get expensive real quick. So if I can come up with a super cheap set of shocks, $25 set of front bar pin eliminators, and have them bolted on for next to nothing, and have the thing ride and drive so much better, then that is absolutely worth it to me. So guys, get on your local Facebook marketplace and start lowballing some of those Wrangler guys that have had their parts on marketplace for a year, and let them know, hey, I'll give you 50 bucks and come by and go grab those shocks from you. And they'll probably say yes because no one else is going to buy them. And yeah, make your Jeep, make your WJ a little bit cooler and drive and ride a little bit or a lot bit nicer in the case of this one. So guys, thanks for coming out into the 100+ degree garage right now because it's real hot here in Kansas. And thanks for helping me save another WJ and hopefully helping me save your WJ and hopefully saving your wallet not be as thin by buying new parts. So guys, as always, thanks for watching and we'll catch you guys next time.